Welcome back, friends. If you're new here, I'm Jen, and this is a space for witches who are still figuring things out, or who have been figuring things out for years and just like having someone to figure it out with. Either way, you're welcome here. Today we are talking about Lughnasadh, one of my absolute favorite sabbats on the Wheel of the Year. And I'm going to walk you through what it is, what it means, and give you some really easy, beginner-friendly ways to actually celebrate it. Whether you have a full altar and a cauldron, or you have a candle and a windowsill, I've got you. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first. What even is Lughnasadh? Lughnasadh is a Gaelic festival that marks the beginning of the harvest season. It falls at the beginning of August. More specifically, it's the midpoint between the summer solstice and the autumn equinox. So if you've been enjoying all of summer's energy and abundance, Lughnasadh is kind of like the universe tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hey, things are about to start shifting. It is the first of 3 harvest festivals on the Wheel of the Year. The other 2 are Mabon, which is the fall equinox in September, and then Samhain, which you probably know as Halloween, in October. So Lughnasadh is where the harvest energy really begins. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. How do I even say that? I pronounce it as Lughnasadh. You'll also hear Lughnasadh, Lughnasadh, or even just Lammas, which is the Anglo-Saxon name for the same holiday. Other names you might come across are First Harvest, that's the easiest one, Lughnasadh, or Offering of First Fruits. They all refer to essentially the same celebration. In my practice, I tend to use Lughnasadh, but honestly, use whatever feels right in your tradition. There's no pronunciation police around here, because we really lean into the ACAB lifestyle. The festival itself is named after Lugh, the Irish god of light, skill, and craftsmanship. According to Celtic mythology, Lugh established these games and feasts in honor of his foster mother, Tailtiu, who exhausted herself clearing the plains of Ireland for agriculture and died doing so. So there's this beautiful, bittersweet energy at the heart of Lughnasadh. It's a celebration of abundance, but also the acknowledgement of sacrifice, labor, and what it costs to sustain life. That's really the emotional core of this Sabbat. The sun is still bright and warm, but the days are getting shorter. The harvest is coming in, which is wonderful, but it means that summer is ending. It's joy and bittersweet, all at the same time. And if you've been following along with my personal journey, this year, Lughnasadh is just going to hit different. August has always been a month weighed down by grief for me, but this year, it's a little more personal. All right, let's talk correspondences, because if you want to set up an altar, do a ritual, or just bring some Lughnasadh energy into your space, knowing the correspondences is where you start. Starting off with colors. The colors for Lughnasadh are yellows, bright greens, and orange. Think of the colors of late summer, golden fields, ripe fruit, that warm afternoon light that almost feels like it's honey. If you're setting up an altar cloth or lighting candles, that is your palette. Crystals. Some great crystals to work with for this Sabbat include carnelian for vitality, courage, and that harvest season motivation. Green aventurine, abundance, luck, and growth. Citrine for joy, warmth, and manifestation. Tiger's eye for strength, confidence, and perseverance. Moss agate is deeply connected to nature and agriculture. This is such a Lughnasadh crystal. Malachite for transformation and protection. And you don't need all of these. Even 1 or 2 on your altar or in your pocket is enough. Herbs. For herbs, we're working with basil, sage, rosemary, cedar, vetiver, frankincense, sandalwood, and heather. A lot of these are earthy, woodsy, and grounding, which makes sense given that we're starting to root back down as the seasons turn. You can burn these as incense, add them to a spell bag, or just set some on your altar. Speaking of herbs, for those of you who are into candles and home fragrance, the Gin and Tonic Lughnasadh collection captures this energy really beautifully. It opens with citrusy top notes, pink grapefruit and bergamot, and moves into herbal middle notes of basil and clary sage, and then settles into those woodsy, grassy base notes of cedar and vetiver. It basically smells like standing in a sunlit field at the end of summer. I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out. Low key, it is one of my favorite collections and candles. Foods. And then there are the foods, which honestly appeals to the kitchen witch in me so hard because the Sabbat is incredibly food forward. We're talking breads, grains, blackberry pie, beer, and seasonal fruits. One of the most traditional ways to celebrate Lammas, or Lughnasadh, is by baking a loaf of bread. The grain harvest was everything in ancient agrarian cultures. It was survival. Baking bread was an act of devotion and gratitude, and honestly, it still is. Even if you don't bake, putting out some bread, fresh fruit, or blackberries as an offering is a meaningful way to participate in the spirit of this holiday. Okay, now for the part you came for. What can you actually do to celebrate Lughnasadh? I want to give you options at a few different effort levels because we're all working with different schedules, different living situations, and different comfort levels. All of these are valid. All of these count. The gratitude harvest. Low effort, high meaning. This one requires literally nothing but a piece of paper and something to write with. Lughnasadh is the first harvest. It's a time to take stock of what you've grown this year. Not just literally, but also metaphorically. What seeds did you plant in spring, in your life, your relationships, your work, your practice, that have come to fruition? Sit down, light a candle if you have one in yellow or orange, or have one appropriate for the season, and write out your harvest list. What have you accomplished? What has come through for you? What are you grateful for, even if it's small? Then, and this is the ritual part, read it aloud. Speak it into the air. The act of voicing your gratitude is an offering. You can fold the paper and keep it on your altar, or you can burn it as an offering to Lugh or to the harvest. This is a beautiful one if you have a little more time. Bake or buy a loaf of bread. Seriously, store-bought is fine. Thank you, Ina Garten, for that. This isn't about being a perfect homesteader. There is something so unappealing about running your oven on a 90-degree day. Or maybe you're like me, and you don't have the patience to precisely follow a recipe and bake it. The symbolism and intention are what really matter here. Before you eat it, hold the loaf in your hands and speak a blessing over it. Something like, I give thanks for this harvest, for abundance, for the labor that sustains life. May I never take for granted the nourishment that I receive. And then break the bread. Do not cut it, break it, and share it with family, with friends, or leave a piece outside as an offering. Breaking bread is one of the oldest acts of sacred community that we have. There is real power in it. If you want to level it up, bake the bread yourself and stir in the intentions into the dough as you need it. Think about what you're grateful for, what you're calling in for the second half of the year, and what you're willing to work for. Set up a small Lughnasadh altar. You don't need a lot. Here's a simple setup. A yellow, green, or orange candle, or something like our Lughnasadh candle. A piece of bread, or a grate. Even a handful of oats in a bowl works. Some seasonal fruit, or blackberries. Blackberries are a huge theme with Lughnasadh. Any crystals from our list. Carnelian and citrine are especially fitting. A few sprigs of herbs. Basil or rosemary are easy to find this time of year. Any flowers in warm colors. Sunflowers, marigolds, black-eyed Susans. Arrange it in a way that feels good to you. Light the candle. Spend a few minutes just sitting with it, breathing, and acknowledging the season. You can speak a prayer or an intention if you'd like, or just let the stillness be the ritual. Leave the food as an offering for a day, and then compost it or leave it outside. Return the natural items to the earth. This one is a little more involved, and it works with a deeper theme of Lughnasadh, the idea that harvest requires sacrifice. Ask yourself, what do I need to let go of in order to step fully into the next chapter? Write it down. What habit, what story, what fear, what relationship pattern is keeping you from moving forward? What needs to be cut, like wheat from the field, so something new can grow? If you know me, you know I love a good bath ritual. And the ritual for Lughnasadh is super easy. Play some music that really speaks to you. Let me know in the comments if you want me to come up with a playlist, because I can easily do that. Place a piece of moss agate or carnelian near your tub. Use an appropriately themed bath bomb, bath salts, or bath oil in your bath. And yes, of course, I have all of the above available on my website. The link to that will be in the description. This entire collection is one of my favorites. As your tub fills, consider what you planted back in the spring that has come to fruition. What can you do to best tend your garden, both metaphorically and literally? What are you grateful for as we enter autumn and say goodbye to the growing seasons of spring and summer? Contemplate that while you bathe. And then, as the water drains from your tub, envision all of your insecurities and doubts, your negative feelings circling down the drain and away from you. Whatever you can leave behind, let it get washed away with the bath water. Lughnasadh is one of those sabbats that I think gets overlooked a little bit. It doesn't have the drama of Samhain or the sparkle of Beltane, but it has this really profound, grounded energy that I think we all need. It's the reminder that abundance is real and it is worth celebrating, that hard work matters and deserves to be honored, that life is cyclical and even the most joyful seasons turn, and that's not something to fear. It is something to meet with grace. So, however you celebrate this year, whether it's a full ritual spread or just a grateful moment with a piece of toast, I hope you feel that harvest energy. As always, every accusation is a confession. Free Palestine. Protect the First Amendment. And do not let up on the Epstein files. Survivors deserve justice and accountability. Take care of yourself. I'll see you again soon.